Welcome back to another episode of the Body and Mind Strong podcast. My name is Renee, your host and integrated fitness coach. My mission with Body and Mind Strong is to help you achieve your health and fitness goals and maintain long-term success by giving you the proper tools through online fitness training and behavioral coaching. We're rolling along in our episode 34 today, and I'm so excited about today's episode. I finally get to do an interview. Today, I'll be interviewing Lisa Swanson with Body and Soul Coaching. Lisa is a certified ACE personal trainer, a health coach with a specialization in the female metabolism, and an orthopedic exercise specialist with over 35 years of experience in the industry. What really caught my eye with Lisa when I was doing my research is her focus on working with women over 50 years young who are dealing with health and fitness during menopause. Empowering women to reach their goals and truly thrive in midlife is her number one passion. With her online program, Metabolic Design, she uses her unique approach to teach women not only how to get in shape, but to stay there for good and transform their lifestyles to one that supports long-term success and healthy living. Okay, enough about my intro. Let's bring Lisa on so she can tell you even more about herself. Side note, we actually did the interview earlier today and she brought a lot of great information to the table. So I think you guys are really going to like this episode. So now, without further ado, all right, we are on. Hello, Lisa. How are you doing today?
I am doing great, Renee. Thank you so much for having me here today.
Yes, I am so excited for this. I am I'm definitely excited for this because it's been so long since I've interviewed, and just talking with you about health and fitness is great. I love it. Talking. All right, so Lisa, I've already kind of did your intro, but I wanted you to talk a little bit more about yourself
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of let everybody know. So tell us a little bit about what you do with body and soul coaching.
What I do with Body and Soul Coaching. So, Body and Soul Coaching I founded this about 10 years ago or more. I'm losing track of the dates at this point because I wanted to help women over 50, women going through menopause, women perimenopause. It's mostly menopause that I deal with right now
Mm-hmm.
because it's just not the help out there for women. You go to doctors and they say, menopause, accept it. You're gaining weight, accept it. That's the way it is. Joints are achy. Joints are achy. I'm listening to the way I'm talking. Your joints are
Menopause
achy.
brain.
There's menopause brain, right? Menopause brain.
Yes.
Joints are achy. Not being
Mm-hmm.
able to sleep. All these things in there, and you typically get a shrug or, oh, that's menopause. Deal with it. Or medications, throwing antidepressants at women, things like that. And it's like, no, there is an answer. We can be healthier and thriving at
Mm-hmm.
this time in our life. It's like, I feel like midlife and beyond is such an incredible time in our lives. And like we should be able to enjoy it. We've been through so much in our life at this point in time.
Yes.
We've had our ups and downs. We know what we want, we know what we don't want. And
Mm-hmm.
why not just go for it? And it's real hard to go for that when you're feeling like crap. So I wanted to
Yes.
create a program in Body and Soul Coaching. I call it my Metabolic Design series, right? My main is Metabolic Design, excuse me, which focuses on my three main pillars. One being habit-based nutrition. I don't believe in diets. I will not give anybody a diet. I will not give anybody a meal plan. I want them to learn how to eat in a way that's right for their body. And I'll
Mm-hmm.
get, well, just tell me what to eat, Lisa. I'll just do what you say. And it's like, sure, that'd be great, but what would you learn? I'm not going to empower you with anything if I just say, eat this.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I say, eat like me, right? That's not going to help. First, I tell people I'm vegan. I don't expect my clients to be vegan. I would say maybe a quarter of them are, but it's a personal decision. And our lifestyles are personal decisions. And we need to decide what is it we're going to do to get to where we want to go. They have to be in alignment. So I help people figure that out. And it's to say, well, I want to go out and, I want to have a drink every single night or have drinks every night. I'll say, okay, but that's not in alignment with your goal. What are you going to do? There's not a right
Definitely.
or wrong answer, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you need to make a decision on what's going to get you. There's certain things that are going to get somebody to their goal, and there's got to be be ready, willing, and able to do that in a way that aligns with their lifestyle. So that's what I'm all about for nutrition. That's what it has to be. I'm going to tell people honestly what they need to get there. And if they're doing something that's not going to get there, I'm going to have to point it out gently. Say that's not going to do it. So what do you want to do from here so we can make the decision to move forward? But I'm also teaching them along the way. Look at, this is how you ate. This is how your body responded. This is what your body needs, so that they can continue even beyond working with me. I have, clients who stay with me for a year or more. But also clients who, do my 16-week program and feel like they've gotten a lot of knowledge and they know just what to do and they're able to maintain their results. And a lot of it comes from that nutrition approach of the habits
Yes.
of modification, the lifestyle, sustainability. The next part of go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. But yeah, I'm totally for that as well. In fact, one of my next podcasts coming out, I'm talking about insight and awareness when it comes to your nutrition and your foods, and paying attention to not what's working for you, not what other people are telling you that you should be eating. Like a diet that may be working for your best friend may not work for you. So it's kind of listening to how your body's responding. And I don't know about you, but as I've gotten into menopause, just my body's responding differently to different things. And I've noticed that I can't take alcohol like I used to. And I didn't realize that was a menopause thing. And I had an OBGYN, a GYN point that out. I'm like, oh, that makes sense why my body is not feeling good after alcohol anymore.
Yeah.
So
But isn't it funny how the list of what menopause affects grows every year? Like, they'll say, here are these 10 menopausal symptoms. The next year, there's 20 symptoms. Now here's 100 different symptoms and side effects of menopause. It's like it grows. And
it is.
That's menopause too? Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah. Cause I'm like, I have one symptom. I'm like, I just thought I was the oddball out. And it turns out like 50% of the women have it. And I'm like, why wasn't this talked about before? I don't understand this. There's so much to this. I'm like, so I'm not
really
crazy.
You're not. We're not crazy. There is a lot going on out there with menopause, and women need to know about it, right? So they don't feel like that, so that they can be empowered to say, okay, this is what's going on. But I know that if I balance my nutrition, I can balance my hormones. I balance my nutrition, my hormones, and I work with the right stress levels. I can balance out my metabolism. I tend to say balance out and make my metabolism flexible, then boost my metabolism, because it's not really boosting metabolism, it's working with it. But you do all those things, and a lot of those signs and symptoms start going away. We just need to learn how to take care of ourselves properly.
Definitely. Right? And I've noticed, like, I was one of those that I was blaming menopause for my weight gain. And finally this year I did a lot of changes, and I've dropped like 22 pounds in this past year just by changing, just by changing the way I'm eating. And there was a couple months that I fell off that way of eating that I found for me that worked. And I started having more struggles and more issues. And then I went back to the foods that were working, and just feeling better overall, like just physically and mentally, like I'm normal, like just feeling normal, really.
Yeah, I think when women feel like, excuse me, women feel like, wow, I feel like me again. I'm comfortable in my skin now. I'm not just, that feeling. It's just, it's nutrition. I mean, there's more to it than nutrition. Like, we have the whole workout aspect of it as well. Because a lot of women don't know how to work out when it comes to menopause. They're out there doing spin classes 7 days a week. They're doing weight training, some weight training, but typically it's spin classes, cardio, group classes, and they're not stressing their muscles the way that they need to, and they're not giving their bodies the rest that they need to. It's like, when you think about it, we're getting older. Our cells are turning over at a slower rate. Right? We're not sleeping as well. Our bodies can't handle that same amount of intense exercise that we did in our 20s and 30s, and maybe a little bit into 40s. We need to scale that back. And I think the go-to is typically, I'll do cardio. I want to lose weight, I'm going to do cardio. Cardio burns fat. Cardio burns calories. Well, yes and no. It's not going to burn that much more. Our bodies will actually adjust. Like, I don't know if you know this. You probably do, Renee. When you're doing a lot of cardio and you're burning a lot of calories through cardio, and you're getting that energy out, right? Your body will then make you slow down the rest of the day to balance things out. You fidget less, you toss and turn, and you sleep less. Like, all these little things that would burn extra calories, you stop doing less, you move less. And so it
That
balances
makes
out.
Yeah, that makes definitely
Yeah.
perfect sense too, because that well they was I once heard this analogy, our bodies are built like a Prius because they're built to conserve our energy,
Hmm.
but we want our bodies to be like a 1970 Chevy or something that's just
Right,
blowing
right.
out all the gas, right? And just burning all those calories off. But our bodies always try to adapt to maintain it. And it makes
Exactly.
sense. It's built to keep us alive. And if we're constantly burning
Hmm.
calories and fat, we're going to die because we're going to run out of like fat and everything,
Exactly.
right? So our bodies are built to keep us going and alive. Yeah.
Right, right, and part of that is teaching in body and soul coaching. What I do is I teach women how to work out in a
Hmm.
way that is going to help build muscle, to keep you burning body fat, to build the muscle that because you have to hold on to it because we're losing so much of it. But a lot of times, I think what women don't understand is that you have to have a plan. If you want to get from point A to point B, you need to have a plan, and it can't be I'm going to go to the gym and maybe I'll do full body, maybe I'll do that machine, maybe I'll do that machine over there. It's not the way that's not a plan. It's just not a plan. It's not going to get you
Yeah.
there. And so I take them through a whole periodization program where we're focused on, the different needs through different stages of the program where that energy output or your exercise is in alignment with the energy input or your
Hmm.
nutrition. So a lot of times people say, well, I'm going to, and you probably hear this all the time, I'm just going to eat less and exercise more, right? And I'll lose weight. And then they say, oh my gosh, it's not working. I better eat even less. That doesn't work. I'll
Definitely.
exercise more. So it starts
Hmm.
going eat less, eat more, exercise more. And they get this big gap and that big stress that our body says, no, forget it. We're going to conserve everything now. And we're just going to hold on to that body fat. And
Hmm.
and the muscle's just going to keep slipping away because sarcopenia, that's what happens as we get older. We start losing muscle and that accelerates. So, all right. So now you need to, okay, so what's the solution that I can not only save my muscle, but build it, right? You have to have the right type of plan that doesn't over exercise you, but at the same time, this is a balancing act, at the
Hmm.
same time, stresses your body enough so that you can elicit change. Because if you don't put stress on the body and get some cortisol going during those exercises, you're not going to
Yeah.
build muscle. The trick is get that cortisol up, work those muscles hard, get that cortisol back down again, and rest. Have some time off, get some sleep. So I think that's this part two, I would say, or the second pillar of body and soul coaching is the habit nutrition and the periodization and progressive overload for your strength training. And then we sprinkle in cardio depending on the client, right? Too
Hmm.
much stress, let's take that cardio away. Don't have too much stress, okay, maybe you can add some in. I mean, you want enough to keep your heart strong, right? But we
Yes.
don't want to look at it as, oh, this is how I'm going to lose weight. Exercise is not for weight loss. Nutrition is for weight loss. Exercise is for helping you maintain that weight loss and to keep your body strong and healthy and
Hmm.
maintaining your muscle.
Definitely.
That's what I believe.
Yeah. And it's huge. Like, and just the building of the muscle mass. And I know it's coming around because when I started strength training like 20, 25 years ago, I was like the only woman in the free weight section. So I have learned how to strut in like a queen into the free weights, which is I'm trying to teach other
Awesome.
women this. It is because and then working with like I'm a contractor with military. So for years I've worked out in military gyms, and especially army. It's mainly guys, right? So I've had to learn just to you strut in, you make your space. It doesn't matter that they're younger and they're stronger. But what I've noticed, what was it last year? I was at Planet Fitness working out, and I looked up in the free weight section and it was all women. And I was like, and I wanted to start being like, hey, like making noise because I was like, I have never seen that before because normally it's always men that I see in
Right.
there. So it's definitely coming around where women that it's okay to work out, but I'm still
Mhm.
running into my clients that are hesitant to go to the strength training areas. And I'm a
Right.
huge, like, even with my coaching clients, and especially like when I work with my therapy clients, I'm a huge for strength training for women because one, it's a great outlet, it's stress management, it's self
Mhm.
care, you're taking care of yourself, it's confidence booster. So like
Right.
with a lot of women I'm working with, I don't care what age, it gets you going. And then with my younger ones, I really push the strength training because you're building this muscle mass before getting into menopause stage, which is giving you a good foundation. And like
Yeah.
you said, how we start to lose our muscle mass. Well, as we lose the muscle mass, we increase the chances of osteoporosis. So having that muscle
Hmm.
mass really helps protect the bones. And so I'm big on, like, everything you said about strength training. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah,
So,
it's so important. And I'll even look back on clients over the years, and the ones who had the most dramatic results were the ones
mhm.
who really followed through with the strength training. Not only follow through with the strength training, I should take that a little bit further, are the ones who understood that you needed to lift to failure. It's like
Mhm.
you can't just pick up a weight and say, okay, I'll do this bicep curl with 5 pounds 15 times and I'm done, when you could have probably done 30 more repetitions. And I keep telling them, no, you have to work to muscle failure. You need to stress that muscle to push it a little bit past its limit so that it will change, so that it will grow, so it can get stronger. And I think the women who really focus on the strength along with that are the ones who like lose all these inches. Like they all lose weight, but the ones who have the dramatic inch loss are the ones that focus on the strength training.
It's interesting you said that because I came to a realization, what was it, 2 days ago? Um, when I started back into my strength training, because before COVID, I was on the road because I wanted to do like a stage competition, right? So I was eating healthy or was fit. COVID happened, and just all that
Yeah.
just shot. It was gone, right? So I gained like 30 some pounds over COVID. So as I'm getting back into things, I'm taking it slow. I'm like, okay, I'm dropping this weight. I'm gaining some of my muscles. I'm seeing my shoulders start to pop out. So let's keep kind of pushing it. And I slowly started pushing the weights because I didn't want to go too hard, because I know with my joints, I wanted to be careful and not do
Yes.
another injury. And then I was doing lat pull downs, and something hit me and I was like, let me increase this. And I increased it by like 15 pounds and I still did like 8 pull downs. And I'm like, am I really
Wow.
undershooting my weight? Like before, I really thought I was kind of pushing to failure. And so then because I nearly started lifting like 55, 60, 70, 75. Finally, I stuck it on 100 and I did one. And I'm like, why am I undershooting my back now? I'm like, I can definitely start pushing up, because I think it's
Yeah.
where we feel like we are lifting heavy, but we're not paying that much attention. We can actually lift heavier than we really think we can.
Yes, I think
Yeah.
that's so true of so many people, and there's 2 sides to this. So I had one client, this is when I used to see people in person, I don't anymore, and she's telling me she does her bent over rows and what she does, and it's like, when you ask people what they do to work out, "I do 3 sets of 12," when they answer that, they're just picking up any weight and just doing 12 reps and putting it down. It's like, it's not quite how it works, a little bit different than that. And so I was in person with her. I said, okay, let me see you do your 12. And she did her 12 repetitions with her 12 pounds. I go, do another one, do another one, do it, have saying that. And she kept doing more. And I think we at 25, I finally said, okay, stop. And I said, now rest. And I gave her 15 and she still did 25. Had her rest. I gave her 20. She still did 20. Brought her up to 25 or 30 pounds where she finally got to the point where she was reaching muscle fatigue or failure by
Yeah.
15 repetitions. And all that time, she'd been using 12 pounds. There's a big difference, right? When you've got one
Yes.
pound, right? Going from 12 pounds all the way up to that. And it's like, that's amazing. Then you have the other people who have been working out for a long time. This is the flip side of it. They've been working out for a long time. Their joints are achy. They're trying to push through heavy weights. And you try to say, you know what? Let's drop your weights back. And they're like, no,
Oh,
I can't
definitely.
do that.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, well, you want to kill your joints? There's some healing that needs to go on here. You haven't rested enough. We want to bring those weights back and do higher repetitions. Doesn't mean you're going to lose muscle. Right now, you're pushing through these aching joints and everything. We want to be kind to them. So let's bring those weights back a little bit so that we can build that back up. And then they return to heavy weights and like, oh, my joints don't hurt anymore. It's like, yeah, you listen to your
Definitely. And
body.
like I was of that same mentality of kind of pushing through it until I saw something a while ago, and so I backed off, especially on my shoulders, because I'm having issues like with one of my elbows. And so I backed off from the weight and I slowed it down. Like I slowed down the whole motion, and
Yeah,
it just, the burning, I still get, you still get the burning. Like you don't have to go
you
heavy to
do.
get the burning. You change the pace of it as well, or you shoot up and you slowly bring it back down, like, or you hold it and it's,
Exactly.
could definitely
Exactly. Oh my gosh. I just did this with because I was having some pains as well and going, okay, so what should I do here? So what do I tell my clients to do? Because I mean, I think we're both probably guilty of not doing what we tell our clients to do.
Yeah.
And I
Yes.
just said, okay,
Guilty.
I'm gonna lighten up my weights. Let me bring that down. Issues again, there's something about the elbows. It must be something we did when we were growing up with our weights that we didn't do right. Well, those elbows hurt or our shoulders aren't quite right. I said, I'm going to lighten up on my back. I did a back and chest workout and I lightened up on all of the weights. And I was doing my chest press and I took off maybe 15 pounds off of my normal chest press and then brought the weight like all the way down, the barbell, all the way down to my chest. Not that much of a chest, so it goes way down. All right, so this big, huge stretch as I came up, and I only got through 10 repetitions. And I was like, oh my gosh, because I went very slow and very methodically through it. And that huge pull coming down, it's like, oh my goodness. So I've been missing part of my range of motion while I've been
Hmm.
struggling through those heavier weights, which what's that going to happen? It's going to stop me from improving, right? Because
Hmm.
I get pains in my joints, so I'm not going to be able to go any heavier. So it's not really doing a whole lot for me. And I'm missing part of my muscle because I'm not going through full range of motion. So I'm just going to shorten the muscle with anything. So I'm just like, wow, this is a really important lesson that people need to learn. Yes, women need strength training. Yes, women need to lift heavy, but you also have to take care of those joints and make sure you're not lifting heavy until your body's ready for it, right?
Yeah,
And my
definitely.
first phase of my program is called mobilization stabilization, where I purposely don't want them going below 15 repetitions and keeping the weight light enough that they can do that so we can get through full range before I start increasing any weight on them. Really makes a big difference.
Yeah, and I think two comments, if I can remember both of them. First, that is definitely important to start slow and light in the beginning so you can make sure you have the right form as you're exercising. Because I think when you first start and you start too heavy, form tends to start taking a back seat.
Mm,
So starting in the beginning like that, starting slower, gain that full range of motion. That's the second thought. Range of motion's huge. I don't think people pay much attention to that. And it is important to have the full range of motion
right,
and velocity. Like when you pick up the speed, you're using momentum. And so you're not
right.
lifting that weight. You're letting momentum to help you with that. And so
Right, or
slowing
other
it
parts of
down.
your body, right? The bicep curl where they jerk their back. It's like, no,
Yes.
you didn't really use your bicep on that. Yeah, that's
So
so common. But I think
yeah.
so like having that nutrition, having that fitness part in place. And the third part, which I know we're both like totally on the same page with this one, it's the mindset part. We really work
Hmm.
a lot on how do we navigate these roadblocks that are in our lives, whether they're circumstantial. Like I have a busy schedule. I am a mother and I have a business or I'm working full time and I have elderly parents. I see a lot of that sandwich generation, elderly parents, kids in college,
Yep.
trying to figure out your retirement while you're still trying to get kids through. Like a lot of that goes on in this generation, more so than previous generations. And trying to navigate that and fit in time for yourself, because I think women can feel a little guilty about
Hmm.
taking time for themselves. It's like, no, I'm here to help others, which is a wonderful, glorious, compassionate thing to do, being a human being who wants to help others. But if you keep giving, there's not going to be anything left for you. You do need to take care of yourself and honor yourself. I think it's important to everybody else in our lives, in any relationship we have, that's important to know that we are important, just as
Definitely.
important as they are, right? There's that aspect of it. But then there's also the mindset roadblocks. There's the I'm not good enough. I'm I'm afraid I'm going to fail. I am not a healthy person. Having the identity of I'm an overweight older female, and it's impossible for me to get into shape.
Hmm.
Having these thoughts in our head or letting fear take over, whether it's overwhelm, procrastination, the all or nothing approach, like all of these different things. And I know I'm spewing a whole bunch out there, but these are all different topics that we hit on during our coaching calls to make sure it's like, okay, we need to discuss this, because when you can take care of those navigating the roadblock, that nutrition and fitness becomes so much easier to follow through with and be consistent with, right? The pillars of coaching: consistency, commitment, and communication. And that consistency part has to happen. And it can't when
Definitely.
you get all these blocks, all these walls built up around you.
Yes, definitely. And actually, back to when you're talking about taking care of yourself, I've actually coined a term mom syndrome with that. And I saw that a
Yeah.
lot when I was doing integrated behavior health, which I was working in a doctor's office with the doctors and the patients on like the whole mind body connection, like diabetes, high blood pressure, stress, anxiety, depression. And what I saw was women having more health issues because they were so focused on taking care of their family. And some of the cultures I worked with, that was a big part of the culture. The women took care of the families, but they start struggling health wise because they were so focused on everyone else. So we really had to work on balancing it. So I coined it mom term because I saw all the mothers go through it. Like, I'm like, okay, you need to
Yeah.
pull back. You can't take care of them if you're not taking care of yourself. And
Right.
yeah, definitely. So yeah, I was like, I need to find another name for it, but I'm like, I've called it mom syndrome for like 20 years now.
That's
Um,
not bad. That's not bad. But because it's true.
yeah.
It's so very true. And I think when and it's so important to our children that especially our well, I shouldn't say especially our daughters, because it is just important for young men to see that their mothers are important and that they take care
Hmm.
of themselves because they're going to be maybe one day be a partner to somebody else and they need to know that their partner is just as important if it's a female partner.
Hmm.
Well, either way, it's important, but especially women just because we struggled so much with that. And our daughters need to know that they are important.
Hmm.
Right, and if they see mom never taking care of herself, what are they gonna do? They're gonna grow up to do the same thing we do, and then it perpetuates the whole thing.
Yes.
So if they can see that, no, mom does take care of oh, wow, mom gets up and meditates every morning. Mom takes an hour off from her family and goes out. I can remember my mother when I was young. I'm very liberal mother. Like she started the civil rights office in our town. She was
Hmm.
a very liberal woman and very pro feminism. So I was lucky to grow up with that strength. And I had three other sisters and three brothers. So lots of diversity in my family with personalities and all. But she was very much into you not just you taking care of yourself, but knowing that you're strong. You're a female and
Hmm.
you're strong and you can take care of yourself and you need to be doing that. And it was pushed so much in my family. At one point when I was young, I was like, "I don't wanna hear it anymore." But of course, you then take that on as you grow up, and I know there was another point I was gonna make in there, and I can't remember what it was, but just seeing a woman who was, intelligent, taking care of a family, but also doing what she needed to do. She was an avid reader, she was, very intelligent, and she got involved with things in the community and did things that
Hmm.
she loved. That's important.
Yeah, definitely. Um, I wrote down mindset for the second part of what I wanted to respond. Now I can't even remember what that was.
Well, let's see. In mindset,
Whatever.
we
We'll
were
see.
talking about, let's see if it triggers you. Remember, we're talking different things in our mindset, which is our identity, right?
Hmm.
What's your own identity? Some people will come into this with the identity of, I am an overweight, unfit woman. And if you have that identity, no matter what you do to try to get into shape, you will sabotage yourself. Because you're still going to be thinking that. So you get to go out to exercise. Well, I'm not the type of person who exercises every day. So you have to start changing your identity. That's one part of it. Another
Hmm.
part is we could also be being blocked by fears of getting in shape. It could be the fear of failure, the fear of success, the fear of other people's opinions of us. And fear shows up in so many different ways that I have one coaching call that I talk about the 13 different ways resistance appears. And I can't remember them all right now, but just as a general, it can show up as overwhelm, procrastination, um, what are some other ways fear shows up? Oh, those are only two showing up for me in my mind right now. But usually overwhelm,
Yeah.
procrastination, over planning. You think
Avoidance.
you're doing
Yeah.
things right. Yes, all of those things.
Yeah.
Just learning how to deal with those things to help you move forward. But yeah, mindset. It's like you got to deal with it. You have to deal
Yep.
with the mindset. It's the
And I
crappy
know,
part of it.
and for me, part of the mindset is like when I have people, I'm a huge goal person. And I think part of that personality, part of it is my training in integrated behavior health and solution focus. But I'm huge on goals because I found that when people have goals, it gives them some kind of direction versus what do I do today? Like, what am I? And you kind of hit on that a little bit, like just with your exercising earlier, like, what am I going to go into the gym? Well, I'll just do a little bit of this today. Or, having that plan, which kind of comes from a goal, like, hey, my goal is to get a little bit stronger. So what's the plan behind it? But with the goals, I also have them define a why behind it. So why are you doing
Mm,
this? Why do you want to get healthier? Why do you want to do some self-care? Do you have a family you want to take care of? So you need to take care of yourself? Or do you just want, what is your why behind it? When I have clients that would be like, well, I want to be skinny, or I'm like, okay, we need to go a little deeper because that's not enough motivation. And right there.
right.
So and that comes from the mindset, is trying to have a mindset beyond, I want to look like what society says I should be looking like. Because
Hmm.
we're grown up that, the skinny hot women get all the blonde hair, blue eyes. Like, we're growing up to certain, like, figures, or I don't know, descriptive personality or traits that get
Right,
more
right.
attention, and that's what you're supposed to be
Excuse me.
like. And it's not. It's why do you want to get healthier? And I think the why helps, where when you get that mindset behind, like, hey, I'm going to do this. So we're in a culture where going out to eat and drinking, that's how you socialize. It's a big thing, and that's normal. And when I don't drink, I do drink here and there, but there's been times where I've cut it out for health reasons. I would get the response, why don't you want to have fun? It's,
Yeah, oh gosh, yeah.
why do I have to drink to have fun? And when you're trying to get healthier, you come up, you're faced with all those things, and you're faced with
Definitely.
all that, and you're like, your mindset behind it is what's going to help you be okay with it, and not be like, oh, I need to follow them, or
Right.
I have these important goals in my life, this is why, and I'm totally okay, you can drink, I'm just going to hang out.
Yeah, I know. I totally agree with that. And it's interesting you say, well, I want to be skinny. Or usually the clients will say, I want to be thinner. I want to look better. And they say, I know that's superficial. And I say, no, not necessarily. Then we go into the same thing you do. It's like, okay, well, why do you want to be thinner? It's like, well, I'm
Hmm.
going to feel better. And it's like, okay, then why do you want to feel better? Well, I'll be more social. It's like, really? Are you not social now? And it's like, well, not really. Why aren't you social now? It's like, and then it starts coming out. It's like,
Hmm.
well, I've gained weight and I don't want my friends to judge me, right? So it's like, okay, so now you're worried about judgment. It's not just I want to be thinner. I don't want other people judging me because I've
Hmm.
gained weight because it's not accepted and they're going to be talking about me. I mean, health will come into it too. I'll get into the health. It's like, well, I want to live a long, healthy life, and that's awesome too. But if you can get to that root of, I don't want to be judged by others because of how I look now, now you're getting into some pain points,
Yes.
right? It's like,
Hmm.
okay, so this is painful for you. So let's talk a little bit about that. And I think that's what you mean when you talk about, like, let's get to that deeper thing, and then they can get to,
Yeah.
okay, I'm going to get this way, and I want to look good, feel good, be healthier, and not feel judged by others, but also letting go of other people's judgments. Learning how to do that, I think, is really important because honestly, if anybody's out there saying, I don't want to be judged either, I guarantee you they're not, because most people are too busy worrying about themselves to be worrying about what you're doing. They won't even remember what you wore the next day. They're
Exactly.
too worried about themselves. But there
Definitely.
is something true though, right? There's that side, but there is something true, I think, in most people. They'll say, and I don't remember, probably know this better than me, Renee. It's like, in 7 seconds, people make a judgment about who you are, like
Hmm.
by looking at, that's the first thing they do. They look at you and they judge you by what you're wearing, by how you're standing, all of that, they make a judgment. So, and I think that's an unconscious judgment. They're not sitting there sizing you up thinking, oh, wow, she gained a lot of weight. It's just a judgment about you overall, I think, in that
Yes.
first 7 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. And it's like, back to being skinny. When I was really training to go on stage and just getting healthier, even to this day, I don't like to be called skinny. That Because, as when you're building muscles, you don't want to be skinny. You want to be lean, because I still want that
Right.
muscle mass. And I've worked with a client we were kind of talking about weight a little bit, and she thinks I'm skinny, quote, skinny, and I'm 50 pounds heavier than she is. And she was like, in her mindset just kind of opened up. It goes back to mindset. She had her mindset around a specific, this is the number I need to be for my body,
Yeah.
and not thinking about the health. It was very data oriented, and not about the physical, emotional,
Right.
how am I feeling, all that stuff. And that just kind of opened up her mindset. I'm like, oh, so this, I can be heavier on the scale, but not look heavier. Like, and I think a lot of women
Yeah.
have that struggle. You kind of brought it up a little bit in that, I don't remember what you were talking about, but it was kind of that they don't want to gain muscle mass because they don't want to be heavier, even though, a pound of muscle is probably but what half the size of a pound of
Mhm.
fat. So you can weigh the same on a scale, but be leaner and
Exactly.
smaller waist,
Such a
it's
difference. That's why I tell somebody, if you were if you say you wanted to lose 10 pounds and the scale doesn't move at all, but your clothes are fitting better. And you're like, well, then if your clothes are fitting better, your inches have changed, but the scale hasn't moved, you absolutely have lost body fat. You've
yes.
just gained muscle. Now, and I will, there's one part in there, people say, well, that's what I want to do. I want to gain muscle and lose body fat at the same time, which is not an easy thing to do, right? Losing body fat is a calorie deficit. Gaining
Mm-hmm.
muscle is a calorie surplus. But there are times when you can do it. I know I have done it myself. It can happen if you have been away from training for a little bit for a while, right?
You're,
It can also happen if you have not been doing anything or you've been yo-yo dieting, right? A lot of
mhm.
times, this is a hard one to get people to do when people come to the program, and it's like, okay, I need to reverse diet this person. She's been dieting for so long. We need to reverse diet. And you start adding calories back in. And as you start adding calories back in, your body's like, oh my gosh, I've got fuel. I have fuel to use. And they start losing weight, going, I can't believe I'm eating more. I'm really full and I'm losing weight and I feel stronger. So I think like in those few months when you're going through that, you absolutely can do that. It's a very
Mhm.
fine line that you're on. That's why I like to keep, I mentioned that people like doing the calories way down here and their exercise way up here. They have this big deficit. If you bring that closer together, right,
Yeah.
you can go with that a lot longer and you can hold on to muscle or even build muscle while you're burning body fat because you can use that body fat. It's actually being used for fuel. But yeah, it's amazing what you can do when it comes to making that shift in body composition. Then they start understanding, oh, I feel stronger. Wow, I feel really empowered. I carried my grocery bags and ran up the stairs and felt great, like
Mhm.
things like that. They're starting to feel so much stronger. And I think it makes them want to do more and move more in general, not just in the weight room.
Yeah, and definitely, and that's part of like I'm huge on that. When you're feeling like you run up the stairs, you're gaining health, you're feeling stronger. I want my clients to write that stuff down because in a couple
Yeah.
months you're going to forget about that and not realize the progress you're making. So keeping kind of a log of like, hey, I'm feeling healthier, or hey, I've got more energy, or hey, look what I can do now, or like those little things are momentum. They're big,
Yeah,
but
they
sometimes
are big.
we forget because they're little, you know?
Yeah, that's a good thing to have them write it down. I should do that. Have a spot non-scale victories, right? That they
Yes.
can write down each week. Yeah, that's a
Hmm.
great idea.
Oh, I like that non-scale victories.
There we
I
go.
like how you
Use
said
that
that.
one.
Awesome. All right. Let's see. Um, I had a couple more questions, but I think we've talked about a lot of these. Because one of my next questions is like, what would you advise someone going through menopause that's wanting to try to lose some weight? And I think you pretty much tackled that. Is there
Yeah,
anything you kind
follow
of
my
would
three
like?
pillars.
Yes,
Follow my three pillars and you're there.
definitely. All right, because I
Yeah.
think that's definitely. Um, how would you say, and I think no, we kind of touched the base on this a little bit about going back into strength training slower as we get older, but is there something specific like going into menopause that people can, like a tip that you can give someone going into menopause around strength training?
I think the main thing is you have to, less is more. Less is more when it comes to
Hmm.
menopause. I mean, I think you can probably reach a point where you can work out more, but not going back to working out, 7 days a week or 6 days a week, even like we used to. I mean, I do have times when I do that, but that's not all strength. I'm counting my strength and my cardio
Hmm.
in that. But I think when somebody's first starting, you really want to get some gains. It's focusing on your sleep and your recovery, making sure that you have enough of both of those so that you do build muscle, because those cells are going to take longer to rejuvenate, they're going to take longer to build. And when you're in the workout room, you have to remember you are not building your muscle while you're working out. You're breaking the muscle fibers down while you work out so that when you rest, they'll build up to be strong enough to do what you did. And
Hmm.
if you don't give them enough rest in between, and then you're going to start breaking them down on top of a muscle that's already broken down. So it's just really important that you focus on that rest. Listen to your body, push it hard for a short period of time and get the rest that you need. And honestly, whether it was me or Renee or somebody else, having a coach that can help you through that will make a really big difference in your journey, being able to show you exactly how often do you need to rest? How many times should you be working out? So some of my clients, it's twice a week. Some other clients, it's 4 times a week, because I really think it's individual.
And I think definitely having a coach just gain a different perspective, because even though I'm a personal trainer, a certified personal trainer, I'm actually looking to get my own coach, because I need to get someone that will get me out of, like, I tend to do certain workouts over and over because they're my favorite. So I just don't even think about it. I just start doing them, or I think I'm on the right path. But, like as a therapist, I always have my clients take themselves out of their situation and look at it from different angles, because when we're in the middle of it, we think we're doing it right, or we think we're on top of something. And even as the personal trainer, I feel like I'm on top of it, but I'm pretty sure I'm missing something. So I need someone from the outside looking in and be like, oh, what are you doing? No, stop. Like, or, hey, keep doing this, or, a different perspective with that. So
yeah, absolutely. I think I agree with you. It's such a difference to have a coach. When I competed before, I haven't competed since, my 40s. So I was 47. I was actually in perimenopause when I competed. And I had a coach for that. Changing my business over to online, had a coach for that. Another stage of growth in my business, had another coach for that. I really believe that having a coach can shorten that journey, that learning curve that you're on. It makes a really big difference. It's hard to see what we're doing. Like, we both talked about this when we're on our own, working out, and it's just like, gosh, why isn't anything happening for me? Then you're like, oh, wait a minute. I'm doing what I tell my clients not to do. Like, I
yes,
wasn't listening to my own advice, but it takes a while to see that. I think a
yes.
coach comes in and they see it right away and they go, no, 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 don't do that. That's not the way to get there.
Well, it's funny because one of the questions I hate the most is someone asked me, what would you tell your client? I'm like, oh, because I know. I'm like,
Yeah.
why am I not listening to my own self? Like, but yeah, back to what you were talking about earlier about like your workouts, things have to change going into menopause. And I've actually found that out by accident, because I started when I was going back into uh, my pattern eating, like eating healthier, trying to get stronger this year, going into just the healthier lifestyle. I started doing the same thing I've always done. And I'm finding I cannot do that right now. Like, I always would go in, I do the cardio and then go do strength training, or I do strength training and then go do cardio right afterwards. And because I had this ritual, and I found that I can't do both anymore. Like, if I do cardio, I'll do like a spin bike for like maybe 10, 15 minutes, and then I'll do some cardio. But I'm finding that I have to separate those two now, and my body's liking it better that I'm separating them, which is,
Yeah, it's so important to listen to your body, right?
yeah,
It's so amazing. It makes such a difference. And I guess that's one of the biggest things, is teaching people to listen to their body and then knowing what to do about it is
yes.
important. It can't be like, oh, this isn't right. Because some people might be in that same situation you're in. It's like, why can't I do this? I have to maybe do more cardio, or more strength training, or maybe I need to eat more protein, or maybe I have to eat, which a lot of them do, but or more carbs, or whatever it is. They might be turning to the wrong thing and then frustrating themselves even more. I think when you have the science behind it and listening to your body, that's when you really can make some progress.
And I think you reminded me of a point I thought about earlier, because when you were talking earlier, like, when as women, first of all, women are left out of a lot of like health studies. And
Yes.
yes, like, it's always, if you look back, even psychological, it's always been like men in the past. And so that is actually starting to come around. And it's interesting. I have this study review from Bill Campbell out of Florida. And the study actually took women ages 50 to 80 years young, right? And I was like,
Oh,
first of all,
nice.
I was like, whoa, not only is it women, it's older women, because the older
Yeah.
we get, the more invisible we get, right? So, but they just did a study on different, and I did a podcast, it's a couple episodes ago, but did a study on like protein. And these women were not active. So, but they monitored just their physical activity. They didn't put them on, oh, excuse you, bless you.
Sorry.
That's okay. they didn't put them on an exercise plan at all, but they just increased their protein, which is something you just mentioned. And these women who had the extra protein increase, they actually ate more calories on top of the extra protein, but lost more weight than um, what do you want to call it? The baseline group, whatever you want to call that. I forgot it. But yeah, just adding more protein, and they actually had more calories from that plus extra calories on top of it and lost more weight.
Yeah, it's
So
incredible. We
yeah.
need it. We need it, women. Don't starve yourselves. Get that protein in. I had one client who just would not believe me about needing more protein. And, you have to believe in the philosophy. You have to be able to trust the process. When you sign up with a coach, you need to be able to trust that coach enough so that you're going to follow their process. Because if you're only going to like half-ass it, so to speak, you're not going to get to where you want to go. Or come up with, she would say, well, I just talked to my doctor and they said that they were shocked at how much protein you wanted me to eat. And it's like, doctors have about a week of nutrition. That's not what they are trained in. They're trained in medicine. Okay,
Yes.
that's a medical doctor is trained in medicine, and they're very knowledgeable and know a lot more than I ever would on the. But nutrition, I would put myself up against the doctor any day on my knowledge on nutrition. And it's like, I'm telling you, the studies now are out there showing that women, especially women in menopause, they need more protein. I mean, before, I'm trying to remember numbers before, a lot of years ago, it was like 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, which is like very little. Like it'd be like, oh, you need 40 grams of protein. And it was based on what we needed to survive. Right? Yeah. And so I don't want to just survive. I want to thrive. What do I need for that? And now they're finding it's like 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, or per pound of ideal body weight, or per pound of lean body mass, depends on where you are. So it's like, and that's a huge difference. That's a huge difference from taking a woman who's 150 pounds and saying you need 40 grams of protein a day to you need 150 grams of protein a day, but they're getting it. And once they start doing it, they'll be, I'm so full. And it's like, yeah, because you're not used to having those calories, right?
Yeah.
The weight's going down. I'm full, but the weight's going down. How is this happening?
Definitely.
Magical.
Awesome. All right. What my final big question. What's one lesson the health and wellness business has taught you that you think everyone should learn at some point in their lives?
Oh, that's a big question, Renee.
Yes, it is. That's why I sent it to you early.
I think that question, what I would say is periodization. I'm going to bring it down to periodization because people talk a lot about periodization when it comes to weight training. And I agree with that. I don't think you can constantly be trying to build muscle or constantly be trying to work on muscle endurance. I think you need to switch off what your focus is for certain periods. And I do this with my clients all the time. It's like this month was strength, it's strength. This month it's function. This month it is endurance, etc. But there's also periodization with your nutrition because you can't always be in weight loss mode. And I think that's what women do. They go into weight loss mode. They say this works and they keep doing it month after month after month, even if they've gotten to their maintenance level. They say, okay, this is what got me here. I'm going to do this. And it's like, no, your metabolism is not stagnant. Your body is not stagnant. It's a moving target. And you need to go either from weight loss mode, because if you need to do that, then you figure that out. Weight loss mode, reverse dieting, right? Bringing those calories back up, and muscle building mode. And even I'll go so far as to say, we'll just call it your couch potato mode, where it's like, I don't care about exercising. I don't care about my nutrition, because it's short periodization, right? It might be a weekend. It might be a week when you're on vacation, and it's okay. If something like that triggers you to stay there, then it's not going to be okay for you. But 1 week of doing that is not going to do a whole lot of harm for you, right? It's just 1 week you decide to splurge. I have a client, she's, I'm going to Paris. What do I do? I enjoy yourself, dive into the culture, have a ball. And she did. They walked around, they saw Paris, they ate everything they felt like eating. And she came home 2 pounds lighter. Yes. Stress was down. She was enjoying herself. She was walking, not exercising. So she was getting some movement and just that type of lifestyle. But it's like, you need to have times like that. So just think about toggling through those different periodizations of nutrition as well as periodizations of your workouts. And when you learn how to marry each one of those to each other, what are you going to do? Where's your nutrition periodization, and what's the muscle strength periodization that you're going to bring together during each of those as you're going through? And now you've got a lifetime of knowing exactly what to do for your body.
Awesome. I love that answer. Nice. All right. Great. Now, how can our listeners find you?
Well, on my website, bodyandsoulcoaching.com, you can always go there, and you can contact me through that website if you have any questions or at all. Just surely reach out. I love for people to reach me on social media. Always trying to build that
Yes.
at Lisa Swanson Fit for Instagram, and on Facebook, it's Lisa. I think it's Lisa Swanson Health Coach. Go in there and you can find my Facebook group. But just reach out if you're interested in joining my Facebook group and having a conversation. I'm more open to talking to anyone. But I'll love to see you on social media as well.
Awesome. Great. I will definitely have all that information in the show notes for you guys as well to
Great.
Find her. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lisa. I've enjoyed this very much. Got to have you back because I definitely want to talk more about, you mentioned periodization and diet and nutrition. And
Yes.
I'm like, I've read studies on that. So that was something I'd love to, maybe next time we can talk a little bit more about.
Absolutely. I thoroughly enjoyed my time here with you, Renee. I mean, we know, you and I know, we both think a lot alike about when it comes to women in menopause or perimenopause, and we both have passionate about helping women to be their strongest and I was going to say leanest, but I don't want to go there. Their strongest, healthiest, most vibrant self that they can be beyond the 50s and 60s.
Yes.
Let's just take it right into the 90s.
Yes. Awesome. Great. All right. Well, you have a great day, and thank you everyone for listening.